Hello and welcome back to another episode of, I forgot the name of the channel, Code 998 Cam, also known as Digesting DeWitt. There's really no new news. The next hearing coming up is slated for 123 and 126 of January. We know on the 12th that he was denied to release, so we could go through the court minutes of violation. But what I found most interesting was the addendum to the violation report. Not sure if PT or anybody else had gone through and read it, but I find it very interesting. I did believe that he did go through it. Officer James Woods, his parole officer. Everybody keeps saying probation, but they use the word probation, but I believe if you've been in prison, the word is parole. So violent felony offender of special concern. And the judge will see this. The judge has seen this. So let's go how the violation occurred. Violation of special condition of the order of probation by failing to comply with all instructions given to him by the court, and his grounds for belief that the offender, Jeremy DeWitt, violated his probation. Officer James Wood states that on 9/21/22, the offender was instructed to permanently close/delete official Metro State YouTube channel and provide proof to probation within 60 days of release of those closures, and the offender did fail to carry out those instructions as of 11/17/2022. I believe that would mark the 60 dates. So on 9/21, the offender was instructed to permanently close, delete the official Metro State YouTube channel, and to provide proof to probation within 60 days of release of these closures. On 9/10, the offender was released from prison, and as of 11/17, November 17th of this year, the MS YouTube channel is still up and not closed, deleted as ordered by the court. That is because his account was not hijacked. He wanted the revenue coming from it. Now, he could say that, yes, I gave that to Jennifer. But it doesn't really work that way, because if they deem it closed, like, it has to be taken off YouTube. Just like everything else has to be, he has to divest himself from everything, including the cars, everything. You'll notice he's still driving around a Dodge Charger with police rims on it, and wearing the hat, with the patch on it, with the motor wings. He's still trying to push buttons and poke the bear, and I think the bear is going to poke back this time. But so even if he was to say, I sold that channel to somebody else, it still has to be taken down. It is a judge's order. So let's go. Additional violations. Violation of special condition of the order of probation by failing to follow the rules of electronic monitoring, also known as GPS monitoring, and as grounds for belief that the offender violated his probation. Officer James Wood states that on 11/29, the offender refused to follow the rules of electronic monitoring. On 9/17, the offender was ordered by the court to be placed on GPS monitoring for 2 years upon his release from prison, which we know he always screws up. On 9/12, the offender was instructed on the electronic monitoring equipment assignment rules and signed indicating he understood the EM rules. Clearly, he's either ignorant or an idiot, or both. The electronic monitoring equipment assignment rule 15 states the offender must respond immediately to all messages, phone calls sent to your tracking device When contacted, you must follow any instructions given to you by your probation officer or the monitoring center staff. On 11/29/22, Officer Woods attempted to contact the offender at his home. The offender's GPS location point showed him being at the residence. At approximately 13:43 hours, this officer, Officer Woods, called the offender's tracking device multiple times, and the offender failed to answer the tracking device. The device could be heard ringing in the home while calling. After attempting to call the offender several times with no answer, this officer sent a text message to Jeremy on his I'm going to say that that's phone. He didn't write it too well. So basically, he tried calling his cell phone, and it could be heard ringing in the home while he was calling Jeremy's cell phone. So this is a huge thing that Jeremy's going to run into an issue with, because there's no excuse to not come out when probation can knock that door down, and they should have. After attempting to call the offender several times with no answer, this officer sent a text message to the offender on his tracking device instructing the offender to go outside to meet with probation. The first message was sent at 11:29 at 13:47 hours. That's 1:47 p.m. And the offender, by pushing a button on the device, acknowledged he received the message at 13:59 hours. So 12 minutes later, the offender failed to follow instructions to go outside to meet with probation. A second text was sent to at 2:22 p.m. Again, the offender acknowledged receipt of the message by pushing a button on the device at 14:23. So almost immediately he pushed the button at 2:23, but did not exit his residence. It is clear the offender was in his home, acknowledged receiving the instructions, and still failed to follow the instructions. So he held up. I don't want to. It's not really a hostage situation, but it does not look good when you are on probation and you do not comply. This right here immensely pissed off Officer Woods, which is going to be Jeremy's downfall. If he was to come out and just deal with his consequences, he could have probably gotten a first-time probation violation, like a technicality. Hey, don't do it again. You do it again, you're going to suffer consequences. But I think now that he pulled these shenanigans, I think that it's Judge Wooten's going to throw the book at him. He could do 4 or 5 years in prison. Violation of Condition B of the order of probation by failing to allow his officer to visit his home or elsewhere, and as grounds for belief that the offender violated his probation, Officer James Wood states that on 11/29, the offender refused to allow Officer James Wood entry into his home located at 2404 Court Terrace. No. The probation officer is allowed to enter your home any time of any day as long as you're on probation. So that's another red flag and thing that Jeremy does not want the judge to know, because he will be immensely screwed. And that begs the question, why? Why wouldn't he allow him into the house? I'm guessing there was a lot of Metro State garb, duty belts, pepper ball guns, you name it. I bet you it was all in the house. Or maybe even a real gun. Who knows? Who knows with Jeremy these days? On 11/29, at approximately 13:43 hours, this officer and Supervisor Steinmeier attempted to make face-to-face contact with the offender at his residence. The offender's GPS location point showed he was at his residence. This officer called the offender's cell phone number and the tracking device multiple times. The offender failed to answer his phone and the tracking device. It should be noted that this officer could hear the offender's tracking device ringing as this officer made the calls. That's priceless. So it's just blatant disregard for authority. This officer sent a text message to his tracking device instructing Jeremy to come outside for what, fourth or fifth time now. The offender acknowledged that he received it by pushing the button. This officer and supervisor Steinmeier knocked on the front door and rang the ring doorbell multiple times. This officer called for the offender, and the offender did not answer the door. This officer knocked on the front door window and called for the offender to come to the door, and the offender did not answer. All the meanwhile, Jeremy's daughter and his wife is in there. God knows what they're thinking. Ronnie is probably like, get the hell out of here. Follow the rules. And Jeremy, maybe in some perverted way, had a trick up his sleeve of, oh, well, I'm a deep sleeper, and you were just pushing the button on the anklet for me. Who knows? But here we go. Supervisor Steinmeier walked through an open side gate. It doesn't even need to be opened. They could jump the gate. They could go into the back of the house. They could go anywhere on the property, into the house, and into the backyard, and knocked on the side window, and the offender failed to answer. The offender's GPS location points showed the offender was at home, and he acknowledged he received the message instructing him to go outside. It is clear the offender was aware probation was at the home, of course, because it was surrounded by police, SWAT, and I believe maybe even a helicopter. Was at the home trying to contact him, however, failed to let probation into his home. So he was hiding something that he knew he could go to jail for a very long time for. Number 2, offender statement. The offender did not make himself available to make a statement. History, and I love this. History of supervision, all the way back from 1998 all the way through. You can see how many times he has violated, which is crazy. So supervisory length, 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised to see that turn into 4 years of prison for these shenanigans. So we'll see what happens. Prior violation of supervision. Reinstated, modified, revoked. Somewhere new arrests. Residence table. So he is unemployed. No employment history for Jeremy. So let's see here. It says defendant shall relinquish motorcycle endorsements for the defendant shall have no contact with witnesses from any report as instructed upon release. So this one's a huge one because he's still in contact with Jennifer Burton. There's no doubt about that. And of course, he's got the regular court costs and fines, no contact with the victims. I don't know why it only says one victim. There's many victims for Jeremy. The guy that he pounded on his car, everybody else that he yelled at, the guy in the Porsche. So Jeremy has a lot of victims out there, and the one with and the incidents with Jennifer. So it says right here that he should have no contact with Jennifer, but he will again in jail, and I'm sure might even be talking to her right now. No driving, driver's license revoked, suspended. Electronic monitoring may apply for early termination, and may apply for early termination for monitoring and all this stuff. As long as he does well, those two are gone. May transfer supervision in case he moves. Cannot enter specified location. Does not say. And let's see what the recommendation here. Jeremy DeWitt is currently in custody in the Orange County Jail, so a warrant is not being requested at this time. This officer is recommending the offender's probation be revoked and he be sentenced to a period of incarceration in the Florida Department of Corrections. On 9/21, the offender was placed on probation for 48 months. The offender is 4 years. The offender was released from prison on 9/10. On 9/21, the offender was instructed by this officer to permanently close delete his official Metro State channel, which he hasn't done. Actually, it actually goes on to show that he created another YouTube channel. Motor One is moving since his release from prison. The offender's newly posted video of the probation officer who stole Christmas on his YouTube channel was posted on 11/29 when this was going down. So he might have been on the roof of his residence when this was going down. Just trying to get one last video up on the Motor One is moving, so Jennifer could keep that channel up and running for income for him. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy is outright banned from posting on YouTube. On 11/29, the offender refused to follow the rules of electronic monitoring and probation by failing to comply with all the officer's instructions of walking outside to meet the officer. On 11/29, the offender refused to allow Officer James Wynn entry into his home. The offender's demeanor and attitude that he has displayed both in person and on the videos posted shown he is not a good candidate and not amenable to any type of community supervision. The offender has an extensive history, which we've all seen and gone over, with the Department of Corrections dating back to 1998 when he stole that gas as a Oviedo police officer. The offender has been placed on 6 forms of community supervision and was revoked on 5 of the previous terms of supervision. Therefore, Jeremy should be sentenced to the Florida Department of Corrections for probably what's going to be the remaining length of time, which would be right here, 4 years, baby. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted in the loop. We're going to try and reach out and contact Jeremy. I got a couple of things coming. So right now we're going to continue with the Jeremy saga while we get body cam footage coming in. That does come in slowly sometimes, depending on what it is. Open investigation and such. There's a lot that goes into body cam footage, depending on which department you are dealing with. But there will be body cam videos coming up soon. Obviously, the change in the title. So stay tuned. This channel is not only going to cover Jeremy, but it's going to cover police in general and whatever other interesting things you guys might want to see. So in the comments, if there's anything you might want to divulge into and have a video made about, let me know. And I'll see about accommodating you. So that's it for now. Have yourself a great rest of your Saturday. I know Jeremy is. It's probably chow time. Well, he calls it chow. Military's chow, I think. I'm not keen on the military terminology. But commissary, he used commissary and something else. But he was using military words to describe the jail, like cafeteria and food, stuff like that. I didn't do much research on that, so I'm just going off the cuff on that. But you guys have yourselves an excellent Saturday afternoon, and maybe I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, take care, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let's get this channel bumped up a little bit more. And once the body cams start rolling in, they are going to be unique. They are not going to be recopies from anybody's channels. They are going to be our own. Code 998s. So prepare yourself for some awesomeness on the channel. That's all I have to say. All right. Take care. And have a great weekend.